Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome to the programme Paul Middleton, a.k.a. Piglet. How you doing, mate? You all right?
I'm excellent, thank you. Yeah, really, really good.
Now, for those of you who don't know, and I'm sure there can't be many because I know so many people have been watching it, you are one of the members of the North Yorkshire Moors Railway Preservation Society. In fact, probably one of the most important ones because you keep everything going, don't you?
Well, yes. I mean, we're a big team that keep the railway running, and I'm a cog in that team, as if it were, to keep the railway running. But yes, I'm head of traction and rolling stock and responsible for all the steam engines and all the carriages that run on the railway.
That's a hell of a train set you've got there. I mean, some of those locomotives are so beautiful and also so old. It must be amazing trying to keep them running.
It certainly is a challenge. We've got engines that range from 130 years old to some of the newer ones which are sort of 60, 70 years old. Steam engines, diesel engines, historic carriages, and all of these engines are from different regions, different parts of England, and they're all by different designers. So it's really quite a challenge to keep these engines up and running.
Now, before we actually talk about the railway, because I want to talk about it, obviously, you must have the most incredibly tough job finding spares for these things. I mean, do you have to make them?
Absolutely, we have to make all our spares. Obviously, you can't go to Halfords or anywhere like that, to get spare parts like you would a car. So every component, if it breaks, we either have to repair it or we have to manufacture from new. So we get from the design of the pattern, from the drawing, we then get a casting, and then the team will then machine that from a raw casting to the drawing, and then we'll fit it to the locomotive. So it's quite a challenge. They're all different. They're all very old, so we've got quite a task on our hands to keep the engines in good order.
Now, just going to the railway itself, I mean, it's a preserved railway formed in 67, I think it was. Is that right? Was it 1967?
Yes, the railway was bought from British Railways and set up as a preservation society, and then over the years it's built from them. I think it was 5 chaps who sat round in a pub and decided that they wanted to buy 18 miles of railway line, and it's kind of evolved from there to one of the biggest preserved railways in the country, and I always like to say the best as well.
Well, of course.
So it really has evolved over the years, and that was all mainly done from volunteers, and we still have a lot of volunteers that help run and operate and work the railway to this very day.
Now, the thing with all the preserved railways is they are run non-for-profit. And as far as I know, they don't get, sort of huge government handouts or anything like that. They're funded by the people that go there, and they're worked mainly, as you say, by volunteers. That is the situation, isn't it?
Yes, we generally run a railway that is supported by its members, and obviously there's the income from the passengers that ride on the railway. Every person that buys a ticket and rides with us is helping support our charity and keeping the railway running. We do also get heritage lottery grants from the Heritage Lottery Fund, and we get other forms of grants as well to help us develop the railway, improve education about railways in the UK. So we do get a lot of support as well, but the key income stream is from the passengers.
How long is the railway now? I mean, it started out at 18 miles, but it's a bit different now, isn't it?
Yes, the railway from Gromont to Pickering is 18 miles long, but we also now run, we have done for well over 10 years, to Whitby, and that adds another 6 miles to the railway. So we're a good length now, with plenty of diverse scenery and different locations to go and visit. So it's quite a sizable preserved railway now.
And you when you, as you say, when you go on the railway, the scenery is just, I mean, we've seen it on TV, but we haven't experienced it, in person. But the scenery looks fantastic.
Absolutely, it is, and it changes with each season as well. We've got across the moor tops, through the national park, through Newtondale, which was all formed by glaciers many years ago, and then down through towards Gothland and Gromont, down the incline, down through the trees, and then off down to the coast to Whitby under the viaduct and round and into passing the harbour. It really is. It's got it all.
Oh, it sounds fantastic. Really does. But you have achieved something rather special, because you've had a Heritage Railway Association Award, or Railway Magazine Award, this year, haven't you?
Yes, yeah. 3 years ago, I had the opportunity to buy my own small steam engine.
Wow.
With my family. So me and my brother have been restoring that since 2017. And we completed it last year throughout lockdown. We still managed to get it finished and steam it for the first time. It's a little bit unusual. It's a 130-year-old Brussels steam tram. So she's quite small. The boiler's vertical, so it looks quite different from a normal steam engine. And we've bought her and restored her back to as close as we can the original condition that she came out of the works in 1890, running tramway trains around the outskirts of the city of Brussels. So we've really enjoyed it. Me and my brother, and with help of the volunteers on the North Yorkshire Moors Railway, have got that little Lucy back up and running again. And that was recognised by one of the UK's leading steam magazines, Steam Railway magazine, and they put it forward in a competition voted for by its readers for sort of a restoration through what is a very difficult period for all of us, and particularly in preserved railways. We haven't been able to open up and pull the passengers like we normally would, and that's presented a lot of financial challenges. So it's been really nice to get an engine out, get it restored, still during these difficult times, and be acknowledged for it. It was a real surprise. It's a nice way to finish a restoration.
Now you've been with the railway quite a long time, haven't you?
Yes, I've been with the railway for nearly 25 years now. I joined the railway when I left school and carried out an engineering apprenticeship when I was 16, fresh out of school, finished on the Friday, started work on the Monday, and I've been there ever since. I've had a couple of days holiday, but not much. I spend a lot of time on the railway, and it's a fantastic opportunity, certainly for me, and it's a career that I certainly haven't regretted. From starting as an apprentice and working my way through the ranks, becoming a foreman and then a manager, and now I'm head of traction and rolling stock. So even in a railway like us, there's opportunity to progress, work your way through the ranks, and now I'm a senior manager of a multi-million pounds railway charity and business, and it's brilliant. There's not a day the same, it's got variety.
That's one of the things. I mean, at the end of the day, you have got underneath you, or in your hands, if you like, a multi-million pound operation, because those locomotives, some of them, okay, they're priceless, but if you wanted to put a value on them, they are worth millions, aren't they?
Absolutely, yes, yeah. They're very. Not only are they worth a lot of money, they're also extremely important for our past and our heritage. So it's important that we look after them and keep them in good order for everybody and experience the unique experience that is travelling behind a steam engine. So it's a very important and responsible role, and one that I do take seriously. But it's a pleasure to work with my team. Everybody who's involved in the North Yorkshire Moors Railway is there because they love it. It's a passion and obsession. It really is a fantastic place to have a career, as well as spare time for the crews and the guards and the signallers that all give up their valuable spare time to come and help us run a professional operation that people love to come and enjoy.
Now, there's one thing you said there about, people coming to see the steam locomotives, and I'll always remember seeing an old man who was stood there with his walking stick looking at this locomotive. It was a GWR, which are beautiful. Stood there looking at this big locomotive with a big sort of on his face, and next to him was a little kid with exactly the same expression. They are just awe-inspiring, aren't they?
Absolutely. I mean, there's no machine quite like a steam engine. And as one chap was once famously quoted saying, a steam engine is as close to a living, breathing machine as we've ever achieved. That there really is nothing quite like it. The fire in the belly, you've got to bring it round into life and look after it and manage it. The noises, the smells, they're just an awesome machine. Challenging to look after, but very, very rewarding to operate.
Now, you said they're challenging to look after. We've seen you on TV, on the TV programme, and you guys have come up with some amazing, well, not come up with, but you've had to fight against some amazing challenges. Coaches that don't quite work right, and locomotives that decide they don't want to work today. These are obviously for real. It's not sort of put on for the cameras. But is this something which happens, every day when you're steaming locomotives and running trains for the public?
Absolutely. There's always challenges. I mean, these engines are very old, and we try to maintain them the best we can in good order so that they're safe. But the steam engines are notorious. They're very heavy on maintenance anyway. They were in BR days and before that. Hence why we no longer use them. They're inefficient, and they also require a lot of daily maintenance just to keep them running. Unlike a car where you just get in it and you turn it on and it works for thousands of miles. A steam engine doesn't do that. You've got to nurture it, you've got to coax it, you've got to keep it running. Constant adjustments of the brakes, adjustments of packings, nipping of glands, washing the boiler out every 28 days and stripping it down. It's a very, very labour-intensive task to keep them running. So we have these challenges that they do crop up, as you see in the TV programme. We particularly when engines are fresh out of overhaul, there's so many bits on them that could sort of give us problems, and we've got to sort of settle them down and sort minor issues out. So it's certainly a challenge, but that's why I love it, because not every day is the same. It never is. There's always something.
When you're working, how many guys do you actually have normally? I say guys, but I've seen girls on there as well. How many people do you normally have working with you?
Well, in the looking after the steam engines, we have a team of about 30 people, ladies and gentlemen, and at Carriage and Wagon we have 10 members of staff that help look after the carriages. But we also have huge support from literally hundreds of volunteers that give up their time throughout the year, and they come and give us a hand as well, whether that be coming in at 5 o'clock in the morning to light the locomotives up for the day's service, or helping wash the boilers out, painting carriages and helping restore the interior of carriages, upholstery. There's a multitude of tasks required to look after these things. So we wouldn't be able to run the railway like we do without volunteers. They're really key to its operation, and there's a lot of varied skills out there that people can bring to the railway and help us, keep the engines running.
Have you ever driven a steam engine yourself?
Oh, absolutely, yes. Yeah, I'm not a driver on the railway passed out to drive. I'm a fireman. I'd love to become a driver one day, but it does require a lot of commitment and a lot of time. And the majority of my time is spent looking after them. So I don't currently go out and drive them myself, but I've driven steam engines a lot over the years, including my own, which is really cool.
Yeah. I've got a really daft question for you. There you are, you're in your workshop, you're in the sheds, you've got all of these fantastic locomotives in front of you. Which one's your favourite? Or do you have one?
Well, Obviously, I've got to say my own locomotive is my favourite.
Yeah.
Little Lucy, the little Brussels steam tram. And it's a real privilege and opportunity. I never thought all them years ago that I would be looking out into a shed and seeing my own little steam engine part there. But obviously she can't form the sort of normal daily service trains. I think for the main fleet, probably my favourite locomotive is an engine called Repton, which is a schools class locomotive. It was based on the Southern Railway. Its number's 926. And I think that's my favourite for quite a few reasons. One, it was the first engine I worked on when I started on the railway as an apprentice. And I spent a winter helping with the maintenance and that. And I got my first ride out on the footplate on that engine on my 17th birthday. I remember it well because we went down to Pickering and the fireman got off and went and got me a nice Danish pastry to have as a little birthday treat.
Oh.
And then I had a great day out on that. And that's the engine I always remember. That's the one I first got my hands on. And it's a fabulous bit of kit. It's really nicely made. It looks good. It makes all the right noises. So I've always got a soft spot for Repton.
Do they still do the engine driver's breakfast? The eggs and bacon on the shovel.
Yeah, the footplate do. Actually, I had breakfast a couple of months ago on the footplate of my own engine. I got the shovel out and put it in and did breakfast. We don't do it for the public, unfortunately, because of all of the I think that the hygiene might be a bit of an issue serving it to the general public. But the crews do it. I must admit, I like a good English breakfast, don't get me wrong. But on a shovel, on a steam engine, it is quite difficult to sort of cook it properly without burning it on the outside and it's still being raw in the middle. And it's not the cleanest environment, but it's all right. But I'd prefer to go to the station cafe and have a proper breakfast from there.
Of course. Now, during the season, you get a heck of a lot of visitors, don't you?
Yes, we get over 300,000 passengers a year on our railway.
Wow.
So it's a lot of people coming and having a ride on the trains.
Wow, that's incredible, isn't it? Do you get people coming up to you going, "Oh, you're that bloke off the TV"?
A surprising amount, actually. I never thought that would happen to me, but it's surprising how many people do recognise me off this and off the TV and have a chat. And that's great, because the TV show's gone out there. It's shown the railway and the beautiful area that we live in and the railway that we operate. And what I really like is when you've got the kids and the younger people that come up to you and they're all excited to meet you and they've watched the show, they've got a favourite engine and they know a bit about, how steam engines work. So through the TV show, if we're inspiring the next generation of enthusiasts and people who are going to help and look after and keep these engines running well into the future, long after I've gone, then that's absolutely worth it. We've got a fantastic junior volunteers group that allows youngsters to come and experience and have a go at the helping look after the engines in a really organised and structured way. They get the opportunity to get their hands dirty and work on the engines, but safely, and then that allows them to sort of gain experience. And when they're 16, they can come back and volunteer properly and be a really, really useful group for the future, because that's what it's all about.
You've actually partially answered my next question, which was going to be, do you find that young people are actually interested in steam engines and in the railway?
Absolutely. I mean, our volunteer group is absolutely thriving, and our apprentices that we've taken on in recent years have all been ex-junior volunteers, and they've turned out to be absolutely excellent locomotive diesel fitters, steam fitters. Wow. Because they've got the passion, they've got the enthusiasm, they want to be there, because the reality is, unlike a lot of jobs, it is a dirty job. It's hard work. It can be very cold in the winter, very hot in the summer, and you're working on old machines that you might not necessarily have all the drawings for are the manuals. There's a lot of fault finding. It can be quite challenging. But it's really reassuring to see all these youngsters come through and want to learn and want to help keep the railway running.
It's fantastic, isn't it? Absolutely fantastic. Every year the railway starts up. I mean, you don't run all the way through the year, do you? Or do you? Do you run all the way through the year?
It feels like it sometimes, but no, we do have a few months throughout the winter where we don't run. Obviously, we're a sort of seasonal business. It's very much in the tourist trade, so people don't tend to want to come out to the Yorkshire Moors in the middle of January. So our main season runs from April till the end of October. We normally have November off to carry out maintenance. Then we run the Santa specials in December.
Mm-hmm.
Then we run a few trains to Whitby in sort of early January. And then we shut down for most of January. Sometimes we run February half term, depending on engineering that's going on around the railway. And then we pick it back up in April. So we don't get long stints off, maybe sort of 6 to 8 weeks maximum. But that's enough to allow us, for the guys to maintain the bridges and the track. There's a lot of bridges on our railway and a lot of track to maintain. So we do need some time when we're not running to fix that.
So I guess at the moment you are full on.
We start on the 15th.
Ah, right, of course, yes. So you
start running on the 15th of May, and then we run right through till the end of October.
Oh, brilliant. Well, look, we wish you well with all the locomotives, especially Repton and Lucy. Thank you very much. Will we get to see Lucy on TV?
I hope so, yes. I mean, I'd nearly got it finished before they finished the last series. And so we didn't quite get to see it completed on that. But hopefully if they come back, obviously COVID and we haven't been operating has made it a bit of a challenge, and they haven't been back since. So hopefully if they come back and do a series 4, absolutely, Lucy will be up and running. There is quite a lot of videos of Lucy running on YouTube and whatnot if you look on there. But also for people who want to come and visit the railway as well on holiday and whatnot, they'll be able to see Lucy. Keep an eye on the social media and the websites because we'll advertise when she's going out in traffic. But yeah, obviously, we're going to get ourselves back up and running again on the 15th of May, and hopefully everyone will come and see us.
Excellent. Paul, it's been absolutely brilliant chatting with you. Great to hear about the steam engines and the railway itself. As I said, we wish you well with those locomotives and getting the railway back up and running properly. All the best for the future, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Take care for now. And when I get over to the UK again, maybe I'll make it up to Yorkshire and we'll come and say hello in person.
You're welcome anytime. Absolutely welcome anytime. It'd be great to see you.
All right. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Cheers. Just before you go, was that okay?
Fine. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, that came through loud and clear.
Excellent. All right. That's great. Thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Would you be able to drop me an email when it's going out on the radio, just so I can let our team know and mark it in and whatnot?
Yes, definitely. I'll let you know all the stations it's going out on and the times that it's going out and when it's going out. It's probably going to be a couple of weeks, and then we'll get it all together.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Lovely.
All right. Once again, thanks a lot, mate. Cheers for now.
Yep, no problem. Cheers now. Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.